Evening from the Kia Oval. We've just seen the third one international between England and New Zealand. It's Ask George. And we start off with a question from Dave Studland. Are England any closer to knowing their best 11 for the World Cup?
Yeah, I reckon they are. I think they are, yeah. Look, realistically, Malan is opening, isn't he, with Bairstow. But I think the only other questions they have to ask is about where people slot in when others are injured. So how many games could you get out of Chris Woakes in a tournament? David Willey presumably comes in for him. How many games can you get out of Mark Wood? Gus Atkinson comes in for him when necessary. You know, they'll want Adil Rashid. I expect Sam Curran and Chris Woakes to play as much as possible. But yeah, I think they know what their best side is, and bit of debate about the reserves.
Cool. Background noise poses the question: is peak Stokes, like we saw today, as good as it gets or has ever got in ODI batting?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, he's different to other ODI batters. As good as it gets, that's strong words. I mean, he plays differently to other people. That was a brutal innings. In terms of its brutality, I don't know that I've seen an innings as brutal without... This sounds like a criticism, but it's not. But there wasn't a lot of finesse, was there? There wasn't a pretty shot from him. Malan played beautifully, obviously. But that's not a criticism, it's just he can play brutally. Viv Richards used to play brutal innings, but it was combined with a certain artistic quality. You know, Virat Kohli chasing is about as good as there's ever been. But, you know, you're talking brilliant players. It was as brutal. I think I've compared it to a butcher cutting up a carcass. There's nothing pretty about that, but the carcass knows it's been cut up.
Viv Richards 184 not out against West Indies in 1984. That was...
He played for the West Indies, 189 not
what did
out
I say?
At Old Trafford. You said Viv
for
Richards.
Be the West Indies, sorry.
Yeah.
Neil Varani says...
That 189 was the best innings I think I've seen.
Against England.
Yeah.
Neil Varani says, should England be happy or concerned after the Stokes innings? His talent was never in question, his knee on the other hand.
The point you make is completely reasonable. His knee is clearly bad. He clearly looked in pain. And there is a duty of care question to be asked at some stage about Ben Stokes in middle and old age. You know, I fear he's doing damage to himself, but he is a grown-up. He does know his own mind, and he's not going to stop because it's sore. So I think marvel in the magnificence of the innings. England have got a special player. Not going to have him forever, well, certainly not going to have him forever. Look, he's going to get through the World Cup on one leg, if necessary. I do worry on a level, but I don't think he does. I kind of think if his leg falls off, he'll run it off and, you know, take a couple of paracetamol and get the hell on with it. Should he? Long term, I don't know. You tell him. I'm not gonna.
Well, my father-in-law's got a knee replacement and that's worked out well for him, so...
He's not playing in the World Cup in a month, though, is he? It's not exactly the same, is it?
No. Background noise again. Has this series been a case of England's ODI muscle memory slowly kicking back in?
I think that's a really well put question. And I think there probably is something in that. Ben Stokes was saying today, for example, he felt like he was accelerating, that that's
smash.
Your drinks cabinet's been emptied. You're recycling from the day. He said something along the lines of, you really did put them away, didn't you? You didn't actually write anything today, did you? Just go, it's a lovely day.
Just a video.
Like bullseye. He said, again, that he was accelerating, then he looked up at the scoreboard, he's got 24 overs to bat, and actually you're realising how much further there is to play. Some of these guys don't play a lot of 50 over cricket. So I think there is a sense that they're getting back into the rhythm of it. And I think the point you make is appetite. Also, they have become a tournament team, exactly the opposite of England teams of the past. This team, you know, they've won 2 very big tournaments, and they know that that's what they're building for. No one, with respect to Metro Bank, are they sponsors of us? Do they advertise?
Not sure, don't think so.
Well, they might
should do.
They should. Well,
please
it's
come
a
on
terrific
board.
tournament, and in a way, it's almost as important as the World Cup.
It's not. My son banks with them.
My point is, well, that's lovely.
Yeah.
What does people minus people banking mean? I've no idea what that means. Anyway, the point was going to be, I think, that I have no idea what the point was. Completely gone.
You say
the point was no one's going to remember who wins the Metro Bank Cup after the World Cup, are they? If England bomb out in the group stages, they're not going to go, yeah, but we're Metro Bank ODI champions.
the Texaco Trophy. Sushant says, has Malan overtaken Roy to open in the first game of the World Cup?
Yeah.
You address it.
I think he has. You can't really argue with it. You know, Jason Roy's been really unlucky. I'm a Jason Roy fan for lots of reasons. And they play differently, but Roy hasn't been able to bat because of his back spasms, and David Malan's batted beautifully. He's taken his chance. Yeah, I think he starts, and Roy is at best a squad player. And it is possible, you know, that they look at it and think, well, Brook is a more versatile player, maybe even got a higher ceiling. It's possible they'll change the squad. I think we'll get the squad in the next 48 hours or so, or something like that. Anyway, very soon, and I don't actually think it will change. But you could see the logic. It would be brutal to leave Jason Roy out, but Harry Brook is a special player.
Malan is averaging 57 at a strike rate of 91 now.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But Jason Roy, you know, it's worth. England don't win the World Cup in 19 without Jason Roy.
Yeah.
He was absolutely fantastic. Did he pass 57 times? The semi-final performance against Australia was one of the best days I've ever had in the press box. It was absolutely incredible how brutal he was. He's been a huge player for England since 2015. He just needs a bit of luck. I think there's still a lot there. He plays in a selfless way, which really sets the tone. And at his best, he's as explosive as anybody.
Don't write off Roy Boy, is what I say.
Yeah.
Right, Don Laytop asks the question, should England risk taking Joffrey Archer as reserve seamer, or is Bryden Cast a safer choice?
That's a really good choice. Yeah, Bryden Cast is a safer choice. That's well put. But Joffrey Bolt here yesterday looked terrific. Until then, I wouldn't have taken him. I probably still wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to put him under any pressure, just because he's special and he's coming back from injury, and you wouldn't want to overstress that recovery too soon. But I don't know if they've seen more of him, if they have data to support the fact that they think he can get through it. He's very, very hard to leave out. And how many seamers do you need in the travelling reserves? And do the travelling reserves actually travel? So he needs to pick up his overs. Mark Wood still isn't bowled in a lot. It's a worry. Adil Rashid's got a calf injury, isn't going to play again this summer. You know, there are all these little issues, and Joffrey's a special player. It is a risk, though, and what you wouldn't want is to put him in when he needs to bowl 10 overs in a high-pressure game which could decide whether England progress in a World Cup. That might be a bit unfair on him, and might compromise his long-term future, maybe. But I don't have all the data, as I say.
Need to check the data later.
Well, yeah.
Now, you said I haven't written a word today, but what did I do earlier?
You just talked aimlessly and drank lots.
No, I caught a mouse.
Mainly.
I caught a mouse.
He did catch a mouse.
Yeah, there was a mouse in the bathroom,
but
and a lady
I don't know
was in great distress, and I managed to scoop it up and put it out on the streets.
The news
of
was that they'd thrown a rodent out of the press box, and we were all like, well, which paper does he work for?
So I did my bit today.
You did, always.
Thank you, and good night.